to you, Chef Rumbi, and thank you so much for joining me on the Nafisa Dango Show this afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Nafisa. Thank you so much for having me.
A warm welcome to the show. It's been such a pleasure being able to tap into you this afternoon, to see the types of achievements that you've had. I'd like to commend you on that before we even start. But so pin us through your journey. It hasn't been an easy one.
No, it hasn't. And the chef's industry is very difficult because there's so many of us and we're pretty demanding when it comes to the money.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you suffering from vertigo, as we know, and it's a skin condition that many people have. But I think a lot of the times, should we say society is not so easy with taking on these things. And this is where we need to educate them to say, don't look at the person that way. That's just the way they are. I mean, God makes all of us. He's the creator. But having to look at the person's potentials and their inner beauties and the types of people they are and what they can bring to the table, that's the most important thing. How difficult was this journey for you? Because, I mean, surely enough, there must have been many challenges. I know for a fact that you were getting bullied a lot of the times.
Yes, I was. And I think my biggest dilemma was, especially people that had known me before I turned 21, where I had even skin tone. When they saw me after I started to change, it was very difficult for them. And I feel like they were in a way obliged to try and fix me. So that's been hard because I've still been meeting friends. You usually don't see your friends on a daily basis. And this is like, my condition started at 21, and this is 7 years later, and I'm still bumping into some of them on Facebook, social media, and even in person. And I feel like they struggle a lot with accepting how I look now. And then there's also general community. You go to the supermarket, someone sees you, they don't understand why you look the way you look. And so they stare. But I'm used to the stares now because I have turned that around and I look a bit more gracious and approachable. That way you can either ask me or I can ask you if you'd want to ask something and smile. That way people don't feel like they're offending me by looking at me. So there's that. And then there's the ones that...
It's very difficult because, I mean, having to deal with someone like you say, being bullied and stared at, how did it make you feel initially, the type of journey and experience that you felt? Did it bring you down? Was it difficult to be able to deal with life on a daily basis, knowing that you have to go out there to society and face this type of situation?
It was, but fortunately, I come from a very loving family and very supportive. So I grew up in a household where already my hair doesn't grow as fast as other girls, and I don't keep my hair long. It's not that I don't want to, it's just, it's too soft, so sometimes it breaks. So my mom has basically instilled self-love in me. If I didn't have her from a young age, if I didn't have her and I didn't have my dad and I didn't have my siblings, I very well wouldn't have been able to manage my vitiligo the way I do now. So it's just basically the fact that I was raised in a community, in a family that's encouraging me to love myself the way I am and not to look for love and appreciation outside. It's when you're looking for it outside and you don't get it that you're disappointed in yourself. So
that's so true.
I don't struggle as much.
I love the idea that you have that support structure where your family has always been there for you. And I think that's what's very important. And this is how you've come through and achieved what you have, is because they've made you realize that the inner beauty that you have and the personality and the characters that you have, all those traits is what matters in life. I mean, vertigo is something that you were born with, you have it. It's not something that's going to hold you back in any way from doing the things that you have the potential to do.
Yeah, well, but a slight correction. Mine started at 21, round about this time, and it was just like a slight patch on my left eye. And the person that actually noticed was my dad. I hadn't noticed. I was a tomboy. I wasn't too particular about makeup or anything. So he was like, "You've got something on your face, and I don't like it." And it's a ringworm. I was like, "Ah, okay, Dr. Dad, it's okay, it's okay. I'm sure you'll find out." what it is, and you will find out a remedy for it. So it used to bother him so much. And I'm actually shocked that I didn't notice the first couple of months. I only noticed because he kept mentioning it. So, you know, thank God I have him.
Yes, definitely. I think that major support structure is what got you through the most of it, and I think that is the most
Mhm,
important thing in today's day and age. Is if you do not have those support
mhm,
structures, it's they're like your little spinal cords that actually make you understand that.
true.
Vitiligo is just one of those things. It's not going to stop you from achieving what you want, and I want to commend you because I mean,
Absolutely.
I wish I was near you and you could make me a nice fish because I know they make some good fish there in Zimbabwe. Um,
Yes,
and
we
I could
do.
sit there and taste some of your amazing wares. But talk to us about your journey. And it's nice to see that, a person like yourself has overcome such challenges and such issues that you have faced, especially bullying is not one of the easiest things for people because it actually,
No, it's not.
takes away their self-esteem and their confidence levels. It makes them feel as though their values have been ripped from them, and there's no moving forward from it. But I think where I really found it phenomenal was that you didn't let that stop there. You decided that from what you've learned and how you've helped yourself achieve the things you want to then reach out to others that are in similar situations like yourself. And you started the support group in 2019. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So we grow basically on a daily basis, but I've been in touch with people individually because I've realized people are more welcome to speaking individually first before they actually join the group. So it's slow. It's been slow, especially because of COVID. We had our very
Mm.
first meeting in 2019, and it was very eye-opening because there's some issues that everybody else that they went through that I didn't experience.
Sure.
For example, your family tries to lock you up from the outside world, and I never experienced that. I did have
Yeah,
a
no,
doctor
that's
who tried to
scary.
lock me out from the outside world, but
Really? Sure.
yeah,
That's
and
scary because I mean,
it's
you'd expect the doctor to be more understanding as far as the situation is concerned, and
absolutely.
positive, try and give you that positivity to move into a better
Mhm,
space, so that you see that what you have is not something that's debilitating. It's not holding you back from doing
mhm,
the things you necessarily really want to achieve.
mhm. So, I've heard other people's stories. I have tried my level best to help some. And then there are other people that want to take medication. I'm sure you know that there these steroid supplements, things, skin oils you can use, apply, take to help, I think, stunt the spread, not necessarily cure because it cannot be cured. Um,
Right.
but everything has a risk.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a risk. If you're going to put something into your body, it either
Mm-hmm.
has after effects that could be disastrous or positive for you. So I think that if anyone is going to want to take something, they need to be sure to be educated about the after effects.
That's true. Because the thing is, sometimes certain things don't agree with everybody. Everybody's skin types are different. Everybody's way of their bodies working are different. So it's having to take a risk, as you say.
True.
Chef Rambi, talk to us about the space that you're in, owner of Scarf Master.
Absolutely.
It's a
So
business
yeah,
that's been
I've been
built
there,
on.
done that. I'm not too keen on taking anything because I'm
Well,
dealing with
you know what? I'm so glad to hear that you're one of those people that just believe in yourself, and that's what's the most important thing in life is to be able to believe in yourself. Then say, irrespective of
sorry.
what, I'm gonna do this. So I think you're an inspiration to many others out there, which I think is phenomenal because lots of people with other conditions look at themselves in less of a light than they should. And that is where actually the problems come in because they don't realize their senses of potential and that the types of talents that they have that they can go with out there and do something for themselves.
Mhm. Absolutely, I agree with you. I have a lot of cheerleaders, so I can't take the credit for myself. Yeah.
That's amazing. Talk to us about your career. What does it mean for you? And, it's so nice to see that irrespective. I loved the picture that I got from my producer. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Lots of confidence in there, a big smile on your
Thank
face.
you.
And it got me going in such a positive way. I said, look at this lady. She's somebody that I need to, myself and I think all our listeners need to learn from, to say
Mhm.
that irrespective, each one of us has a challenge. But irrespective, it didn't hold you back from achieving your passion, which is, of course, cooking.
No. Mhm. Well, I grew up in a family of people that like to eat. We do everything with food, whether it's fighting, arguing, agreeing, TV. And my mom is big on cooking. So she will make two of everything, two starches, two meats, two vegetables, two desserts.
Really?
And I learned how to make pasta in 2008. Things were hectic with the economy here in Zim, and we started making pasta from scratch. And ever since then, I kept saying to myself, my mom is so cool. My mom is so cool. We do this at our house, we do that. And then, as much as we didn't have much, she made sure that we learned to do things for ourselves. So it did, it was a struggle for me to come to terms with. I didn't actually want to be a lawyer. I thought, no, if I'm a lawyer, I'll probably make that coat look nice. I'm good at arguments. And then I realized, no, you know what? It's picking a career is about picking something that if you make a mistake, you're
Mm.
willing to start over, no matter what the case. So with cooking, I know if I burn meat, I can throw that out and start again.
But
So
I'm going to look at it from the other angle. I think what's great about it is it makes you grow. Because I think
absolutely.
sometimes we learn from our mistakes and we grow from it. And it only makes us better people at the end of the day.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So I've been, at 18, my best friend was like, "You're pioneer of the school, and you're busy guiding other students on what career paths to go on. Are you sure you want to be a lawyer? Because I don't think that's what you want to do." And I
Mhm.
thought she was being nosy. So I actually
Yes.
snapped at her, but I got home and I thought about it a week. It took me a week to realize that I wanted to cook
Mm.
because from primary school, grade 5, I had been helping my mom do catering, cook for the canteen she was running. I would do tea snacks for my great aunt. She always used to have these church meetings, so I'll do the tea snacks, set the table, set the tea tray, and I love setting a tea tray. I don't know why, but it's one of my
Really?
favorite things to do.
So I think I need to come for a
So
lesson.
absolutely. When the borders open, that's the very first thing we need to do. Either I
I
fly to
think
you
so.
or you fly
I
to
think
me.
I need to come over and firstly have that lovely fish that I know you make, because
Yes,
you're a
yes,
sous chef.
yes, she should. Mm-hmm.
And I love sushi. Absolutely
Ooh.
love sushi. So
I'm still
I'm
I'm
gonna.
still I'm still learning.
No,
So
no,
you'll
no. I know.
probably
I
be
know.
my guinea pig.
By the time the borders open, I'll have a reason to actually come to Zimbabwe to taste some of that ways that you've learned to make. But
Oh,
talk to me
please do.
about your support structure as far as others are concerned, because it's so nice to see that you've created this platform for people to share their stories. And as you were saying, each one's story is unique. Each one's challenges are different. I mean, yours was great in the sense that you heard your family understand the situation you went through. You had friends that questioned you here and there, but it wasn't to the extent at this particular moment where they totally brought you down and you didn't have a way to actually get up and move again. What about these people that you're trying to help and motivate to teach them self love? Because I think that's what's important. It starts with you yourself.
Mhm. What I've realized is, in as much as you can try and live a life without allowing other people to interfere, sometimes people will interfere if they want to interfere. And if they give you an opinion of you that's negative about you and you believe it, it can actually bring you down. Um, I've tried my level best, but you can take a donkey to the well, but you can't force it to drink.
Mm, mm, that's true.
So, and it's very heartbreaking that there is so much, generally, I won't call it hate. We just need a little bit more love in the world. It's not just about a specific community or a specific country. We just need more love within the world. That way, if we try spread more love, maybe some people who are feeling alone, who are feeling depressed about their appearance, how they look outside, or how they are inside, won't be feeling like they aren't good enough. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it's
So
very deep because the thing is, it's about, I think, the most important thing is about having to respect each other and look at
true.
each other with the positives as opposed to the negatives. And that's how we're going to create that love amongst each other, is when we start appreciating that positive about somebody and the amazing things that they can do, is when we'll start forgetting about the things that they can't, and maybe we will help them achieve the things that they
Exactly.
can't. And I think that's
So
what it's about. So share some stories about others that you've been in contact with through this platform with the support group.
I had one individual. I won't name a name.
No, it's fine.
Um, she is she is amazing. Her English, she's well spoken. She is very confident, but it has taken her a very long time for her to build the confidence. Luckily, I met her after she had built her own self love. She was encouraging other people. But tracing back to when her condition started, she says that she can't walk in the street without someone saying something. So, for example, there are cows that look like this,
Oh dear.
and
Is
so there are
that what
people,
she was being told?
there are people that would reference her to that, and some that would just reference that she was a witch. So
Oh my
sometimes
God.
when communities are not,
Mm,
how do I put this, when they're not educated about certain
mm.
conditions that may come to be, they tend to say very hurtful things to make them feel like they're not.
Mm.
I don't know if that
I
makes
so
sense.
agree.
So
No, I understand fully with you, and this was going to be my next question. Is I think it's important to make societies and communities actually understand the plights of certain people, and through awareness and
true.
education is actually make them change their attitude and the way they see people. A typical example would be not just with what you're suffering from. An example would be, people that have disabilities. They're also
Absolutely.
cocooned in some way, and they're also treated in a very different manner as such. But I think having to go out there and educate people and create the awareness would be one of the ways to make them understand that there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. This is just, a particular condition that I have, and that's all it is. And I think by doing that education and that self awareness is going to change the fact way people see people that are like yourself, and others with vertigo, as well as people that have disabilities, in a very different light. I don't know what's your take on that.
True. I agree with you. I think it's generally not even just about vitiligo, like you said. Like I said earlier on, being able to love yourself and then impactfully love other people will make the world a greater, way better place than it is right now. Because we have so many people that are trying to say the most hurtful thing for the clout, so
Mm-hmm.
that they get likes and
Have
attention on social
you
media.
been maybe having online sessions where you could educate people about the condition and the types of situations people are going through because they so-called being stigmatized for what they have, and that is not the case. But like you were saying, I mean, the one woman actually got called, she looks like a cow and things like that. But people are not realizing the actual hurt they're creating through it. So I think that the way to go forward, this would just be a piece of advice from me. I don't know if you've started it already, but it's maybe to just start these little workshops with people, or go online and say, we're having an awareness campaign where we're going to create the story for you about different people with vertigo and what sorts of things they've achieved. And it goes to show that the condition does not stop you. And then start slowly creating that respect within people. Because I think this is what is lacking in society at the moment. The minute
True.
you see somebody that's more different than what you are, then it's like, oh, alarm bells, what is going on, and things like that. Whereas they need to sort of have that, should we say, that empathy towards others. And I think that's the word. Empathy is the most important thing. And I think that's what we need to
It
actually
is very.
start educating society about, is to say, look at the person with empathy and ask yourself, what is so phenomenally great about them, as opposed to say, oh, why do you look like that?
We are missing a lot of Ubuntu. I think
Yes.
that's what it's called. It's in high deficit. I don't even think it still exists in the quantities that we needed. But I totally do agree with you. And I think that I'm going to take it upon myself to start that workshop you just mentioned. I have been neglecting to, I'll be very honest. And I truly do apologize for that.
You shouldn't be apologizing to me, honey. I think I see the potential, and should we say the positivity. I feel that although you're on the other end of the line there, should we say, far away in Zimbabwe, but I just from chatting to you, I get that vibe, that positive vibe that you have. And here in Salam Media, we call it the vibe of the tribe. You have it in you to be able to go out there and be able to entice another person with the vitiligo, firstly, into a positive space, but also being able to go out there and educate people. And I think if I speak to you in the next maybe 2-3 months, once you've started this post, of course, COVID, I know that has held many people back, but maybe starting it online. I'm definitely going to follow your journey and see how this has panned out and helped you in many directions to be able to, I think, change people's perspectives and the way they see things about a situation like this.
True. I'm actually really excited now. Thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing that. No, thank you so much for that idea. We're actually going to start running with it this week.
Oh my word, I'm so excited. You better keep me in touch with everything that is going on there. I'm going to be really watching you avidly and then following your journey to see what sort of differences we can make. And this is what the show is about, is being, educating people about the different relative situations that you find yourselves in your everyday life, but how we can better it and how we can change people's lives for the better. Because it's not only about us. Each one has been put on this earth with a particular purpose. And honestly speaking, Chef Rumbi, I think your purpose is to go out there and entice people into better spaces from the types of situation that you've been in, and encouraging them, and of course educating society to say, listen here, these are the situations that people are facing. But even if you look at people with disabilities, is to make people understand they don't need to be cocooned. And I'll give you an example with one of my guests, and if that might help, we had this phenomenal gentleman from one of our communities in our areas here, where they integrated kids with disabilities and normal kids together to actually play a soccer game just for fun. There was no competition or anything as such, just for the very reason, and the purpose behind it was to actually, create that communication level, bridge the gap where normal kids wouldn't understand how to communicate with disabled kids, likewise the other way around. And what was so phenomenal is when I stood on that ground and I watched a normal child run with this wheelchair to be able just to let that child be able to get a hold of that ball so they can kick it. So, or make them feel as though they did. And the type of empowerment and upliftment it created was absolutely phenomenal. So I think we need to, learn from these types of things to say that there are ways for us to be able to change society in some way with the way they look at things. And I think from that alone, just from that community, we actually on the show, I got 2 requests from other communities to be able to inculcate that model. And what is happening is now these people that have disabilities that were cocooned from society and were not understood, you suddenly starting to see those little changes happening. It's not going to happen overnight, of course, because as you say, people don't understand. But,
They
just
don't.
using that example is making you try to see that that's where you fit in. This is your purpose in life. God has given you a purpose to be able to educate people and change their lives for the better. So it's not just about the
I
amazing
agree
food
with
that you create.
Although food does draw people closer. I think our
For
first
sure.
meeting, I said to everybody, I am doing the catering, so come to the meeting because there's tons of food.
And I'm sure they looked forward to that because they probably know the
They did.
caliber.
They did.
Wow, that's amazing. What does this mean for you? Like, being able to achieve what you have and then having to have started the support group in your space.
I think that for me, it's first off, it's a blessing. And I think it's an opportunity to access my passion because I know I'm passionate about helping people. I'm more aligned to people with vitiligo now because I've got vitiligo, so I can relate to them better. And it also means growth because I learn, relearn, unlearn, learn, relearn, unlearn from people with different experiences and different stories. And I'm constantly reaching out to doctors to find out more about treatments available and what sort of sunscreens to use right now because with global warming the weather's changing, what they would recommend because I have a lot of people asking me those questions, so I need to be able to answer accurately or be able to point them in the right direction of a really good doctor who will advise them with the best intentions of the person I've referred. Because the last thing I do need is to refer someone to a doctor that I initially went to the first time.
I understand where you're coming from. So it's having to just try and move that person forward in life and helping them overcome that so-called challenge, as we said earlier. But what message do you have for our listeners this afternoon?
The one message I have is you owe it to yourself to have self-love for yourself before you try and love anybody else. Because the hardest thing you can ever do is expect someone else to appreciate you when you don't appreciate yourself.
Okay, you have
And
never said that.
in as much as it's hard, in as much as it's hard, I think appreciate the little things. What I appreciate about myself is I've got short hair. I work in a kitchen. If I had long hair, I'd be sweating like a pig. But at least I've got, wind going through the hair.
Darling, you don't have to stress about that. Our beautiful Miss South Africa doesn't have it. And trust me, we all love her. And it's all about that inner beauty that matters. And that's what you have. And I'm really looking forward to following you on your journey. And I'm wishing you nothing but the best of success as far as all of this goes. I'm so glad that we could connect this afternoon. Maybe I had a purpose to be able to just give you a little bit of that spark, if you know what I mean.
And you gave me a very big nudge.
Where your purpose is, and I've seen it from reading your thing already, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, I have to ask you if you actually had this going, or should I just entice you into it? But it was such an honor having to chat to you. I don't even know if I pronounced your name right. Is it Chef Rumbi or is it Chef Rumbi?
Chef Rumbi.
Ha! There we go. Now I needed to learn the pronunciation. But Rumbidzai Mugabe, you're an absolutely amazing, phenomenal woman, and I wish you nothing but the best going forward. Good luck with those enticements of education and awareness and upliftment and empowerment. I wish you everything the best, and I want to only commend you on your sense of positivity and having to reach out there to other people to be able to make their lives better. You take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe during this difficult period, and lots of love from myself and the Salam Media team.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Chef Rumbi, what an inspiration. I mean, having vitiligo and not allowing herself to just hold herself back from achieving what she wanted to. And of course, now also reaching out to others that are having different, should we say, situations as far as that goes, and enticing them to a better space to see that they have other potentials and not allowing that particular skin condition to bring them down. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in a bit.